Hello, my name is Art Delinsky, and you're listening to the Art Deli Sideshow. I'm so glad you're here. Today I'm going to be covering the MAGA Reparation Fund. I'm not kidding you. It is also known as the Anti-Weaponization Fund, and it is bringing a lot of feelings up for a lot of people. So I wanted to cover it, break it down, and kind of give people's perspectives on it. And of course, I'm going to wrap up with the current news, most current updates as of Friday, May 29th, 2026, as to what's happening with the fund. But first things first, what is the Anti-Weaponization Fund? Well, it all started, let me do the flashback sounds. It all started back when Trump actually sued under a civil lawsuit, the IRS, for $10 billion because of unauthorized disclosure of his tax information. If you don't remember, or if you do remember, this was when an IRS contractor stole and leaked Trump's tax returns alongside with some other rich folks' tax return that we might know and admire. Just kidding. And interestingly enough, under the law, when a taxpayer has his information disclosed without their knowledge and leaked, they can seek up to $1,000 per instance of this unauthorized disclosure. Now, because Trump's tax returns were leaked to major publications like the New York Times and ProPublica, Trump's legal team, and I'm going to be honest, I'd do it for a check too if I was a lawyer, they claim that every time someone shared, liked, viewed, interacted, or engaged with an article in digital or physical form, or even in commentary, it counted as an instance. And I wanted to highlight that because I was very surprised at the $10 billion price mark for the lawsuit. But of course, lawyers be lawyering, and that's why they get the big bucks. But this fund itself is an outcome of the settlement, of that IRS Trump settlement. And part of the conditions was to funnel $1.776 billion directly from an existing fund. And I couldn't believe this. This is true. There's an existing U.S. Treasury fund. It's a judgment fund, which I swear to God, it has an unlimited amount of taxpayer money that gets set aside by Congress to pay off court judgments and legal settlements against the U.S. federal government. All of you are my dependents. Come April 2020, whatever, all of you are my dependents moving forward. Anyways, now, interestingly enough, the that's opposition to this, with this fund, and believe me, there are plenty, they highlight that there's several conflicts of interest. The biggest one is the fact that the DOJ handled litigation for the IRS because they're essentially like the government's lawyer. And the DOJ is being run by acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who used to be, drumroll please, Trump's personal defense attorney. Yikes. Another stipulation of the Anti-Weaponization Fund is that it's going to be overseen by a commission of 5 members appointed by the guy who used to be Trump's personal attorney. Todd Blanche also works at the DOJ in the way of running it. So these 5 people are going to be appointed by Todd Blanche, and they're going to be the ones that would issue funds to claimants and formal apologies of the U.S. government. It's interesting. All of this is definitely sounding a lot like reparations. If it doesn't sound like it, then it definitely rhymes with it. And I want you to keep that in mind, because those are definitely the conversations that are percolating from this, because a lot of folks are like, oh shit, the government can do this, huh? Well, look at them doing it super duper fast. Oh, they get it? They can do it super, super fast and efficiently and without congressional fucking approval? Oh, good to know. The reason that everyone is talking about this, now that we have a little bit of background, I wanted to kind of get into the politicking of it, because not just with Democrats, even within, like, this is breaking the Republicans' brains, and I'm here to see it. I'm always here to see anything that's breaking anyone's brain. But I need to say, way to go, Chuck Schumer, because I do believe it's Chuck Schumer. I can edit it on the back end if it's not. He was the one that saw how this settlement was playing out, and they realized that the creation of the Anti-Weaponization Fund is actually going to require that it gets added to the current reconciliation, the budget reconciliation package. That's what they were voting on, the $71 billion budget. That's what they were voting on, not this fund. But because of the way that this fund operates, it has to be approved within this budget. And that's exactly why everyone is losing their minds. Now, I'm not going to keep saying reconciliation budget, I'm just going to say the recon. Now, what essentially this recon package does, because what a reconciliation budget does, is that it seeks to inject immediate funds into like government programs, kind of without having to go through the whole rigmarole. So the funds or the programs that Republicans are looking to inject immediate funds into are homeland security agencies. And Republicans, for lack of better words, are fucking pissed that this anti-weaponization fund is included. I mean, this fund is so toxic that it got Republicans not wanting to pass funding from Homeland Security. I'm talking $30 billion to ICE, 20 Bs to tech upgrades for Customs and Borders, 1.5 for DHA immigration courts, which makes sense because it sounds like they're planning to arrest a shit ton of people, and of course, $1 billion for the infamous ballroom. But I will say that at the point of me recording this, the wording for the $1 billion allocated for the ballroom is being rewritten, reworded. Some are saying stripped away because it violated some like budgetary rules. I think what it did violate is actually the violated being a good idea, but neither here nor there. Another element that's really pissing off Republicans about the anti-weaponization fund is the current framing that it has. Right now, it's being pitched by MAGA Republicans, and I'm not even fucking kidding you, as reparations for January 6ers. And I know that not everyone had the same impact of January 6th when they were at the Capitol. I mean, some were storming it, some were pooping in like Nancy Pelosi's closet or something. Police officers died. It's just interesting how these people who are like back the blue went and tussled with Capitol police officers, and now the same Republicans are saying that they should get paid. Like this is just insanity. And in the words of many Republicans, un-American. I'm gonna play a little bit of what folks are saying on the streets. I mean on Capitol Hill, and you can judge it yourself. It's actually a really interesting exercise in absurdity to try to defend this fund. But actually, let's go ahead and listen to the short news piece from a local news affiliate.
Congressional Republicans hand President Donald Trump a massive political defeat. Senate GOP lawmakers blocked the president's anti-weaponization fund. As Chad Pergam reports, the move killed a major border security spending bill.
Republicans revolted about the weaponization fund.
I think a lot of people are troubled by it. Nobody knew anything about it. We learned about it in the press.
Democrats and many Republicans plan to kill the fund with Senate amendments.
Maybe this is the one that will finally have them saying publicly that this is a corrupt action at its heart.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune said the White House should have consulted Congress about the anti-weaponization effort, but presidential allies defended the fund.
Every single Republican who was on the ballot, like I was in the 24 cycle, talked about stopping the weaponization of government.
President Trump says, quote, I gave up a lot of money allowing the anti-weaponization fund to go forward. Former Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said it would be, quote, utterly stupid, morally wrong to award money to pardon January 6th rioters. Some conservatives are angry that Senate GOP leaders pulled the plug.
It's pretty gutless on the Senate's part to what they did, and their leadership needs to be called out for it.
They need to do a factory reset at the Senate. It's absurd what they're doing.
ICE and Border Patrol lack funding yet again.
My main concern is that we actually have those interior, ICE enforcement functions funded, right?
No money for ICE and Border Patrol could be a problem for the World Cup, and this likely jeopardizes other GOP priorities, like passing a signature economic bill before the election. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Oh no, not the World Cup. What shall we ever do? Utterly stupid and morally wrong is the way that Mitch McConnell is describing this fund. And towards the end there, Jim Banks, who's a Republican from Indiana, said that he himself ran on highlighting the weaponization of government on January 6ers, and he says he doesn't understand why this is such a big deal. Now, I'm going to say this. I feel bad for these people. I said it. I feel bad for folks that, had to deal with being a January 6th and acted out the way that they did, the same way I feel bad for Aaron Bushnell, the way that I feel bad for a lot of people who have found themselves brainwashed by death cults, and in this case, more political death cults. And I think that we need to be a little bit more understanding of the people and what drove them to get there. And some of them participated in ways that are more violent and up for debate, and some of them I think got caught up in the mess. And I think that I just feel bad. My point is, I just feel bad for the January 6ers. They were duped and they were used just like a lot of useful idiots over the last few years. But I will say this, that as of the recording of this episode, there are 2 Capitol Police officers who are trying to sue and block the fund, in addition to multiple politicians. I do have this one piece of one of the officers, Daniel Hodge, up on the screen, and he's talking with CBS about the lawsuit. And after him speaking about it, it's going to follow up with Todd Blanche, who's the current head of DOJ, or not the head of DOJ, but the acting attorney general for the DOJ, who again is Trump's former defense attorney. Now, maybe I'm missing something, but I wonder for you, before I play this clip, why don't they just take the funds from the U.S. Treasury Fund, that judgment fund? Why don't they say the U.S. has done something bad, the government has done something bad, these people are going to press charges and they're going to be awarded a monetary verdict. So why do they have to create this whole new fund? Why can they just, it's just interesting to know that this is possible. And hopefully when other Americans who have built this country under, the shackles of slavery, now that this is, everyone is aware that this is possible, hopefully they will be able to get a little piece of the pie. But let me play this CBS piece real quick.
Critics worry Capitol rioters could apply for payouts. Now, one of the plaintiffs is Daniel Hodges. He was assaulted by a group of rioters while trying to prevent them from entering the Capitol building. You see him getting squeezed there. Listen to what he had to say about the fund on the Daily Report last night.
These people, they should not be rewarded by the government for their attempt to overthrow the government. They tried to stop the peaceful transfer of power. They wanted to assassinate the vice president. They assaulted me and my colleagues. They instilled fear and terror in members of Congress.
In an interview with CNN, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says the Funds Commission will weigh applicants' conduct when approving claims.
One of the factors the commissioners have to consider is what the claimant did, the claimant's conduct, okay? So in the hypothetical you just described, the claimant would have to say, I assaulted a cop and I want money. So whether the commissioners will give that person money, that claimant, it's up to them.
Not a solid yes or no about whether people who rioted and hurt and attacked police officers on January 6th will be eligible for the anti-weaponization fund monetary reparations. That's right, folks. We're living in 2026. Here it is. America. Anyways, wow, this is just so mind-blowing, and we're going to keep our eyes peeled on this. Now, I did want to do like a very, very quick update on where we are at, because judges are intervening. They're saying, dude, no, this is not going on. So as of today, 2:40 p.m. Eastern time, a federal judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration's nearly $1.8 billion fund. I think they're not doing the $1.77 billion fund on purpose, because they're not playing these games with you anymore, Trump. And the continuing on for people who claim they were targeted of politicized persecutions. So right now it is halted. It would have stayed halted anyways, because they're not going to be voting until June again. But this is insanity. And I have one more clip that I want to play. And this is actually going more into the idea of, is this reparations? Is this not reparations, with some Republican representation? But overall, I think we're looking at a very tricky political situation, especially for Trump. In my opinion, having this Trump is a great way of being able to pay people without having some sort of leave a personal paper trail, which is why a lot of people are using the phrase slush fund. So you've heard it being used over and over again. But also, this is a great way of not talking about the files, or the silent but hostile takeover of our personal data through AI and data centers and all this stuff. But I do have to say, I'm going to say to the Democrats, like the kids say, you ate with this one. Tacking this fund on to the recon agenda, or the reconciliation budget package, was brilliant. And now that crack in MAGA that we saw a couple of years back, it's a massive divide. It's a gaping hole within the Republican Party. And the split is going to continue. And it seems like you have this MAGA diehards, and they will do anything to stay on the back of, to stay on the good side of Donald Trump and back him. But it's going to be at a detriment, because you're at the point that they're saying that people who attacked officers at the Capitals are heroes and should be paid reparations. And I'm not trying to be obtuse about this. Like, I understand that people are layered, but what the fuck, dude? You do not, like, this makes absolutely, you can't just stand by what Trump does no matter what. That is part of a cult. This makes no sense. I mean, I hope that they're at least getting paid for this. Like, at least say, well, I'm not doing this for Trump. I'm doing this because I'm going to get paid from this somehow. So I'm going to keep my eyes peeled personally about who the people who are booty clapping for this fund. If are you expected to be paid a little something out of this? You can't see me right now, but I'm doing the stank eye. Anyone who's touching this is politically cooked. I mean, even Mitch McConnell, he called this, and I have it written down, utterly stupid and morally wrong. Like, dude, Mitch McConnell is telling you this? Like, come on, man. Any kind of support towards this is going to be, it's going to be toxic. But also, I will say, because this is a, outcome of a settlement against the IRS, where the IRS did fuck up. There, albeit it was a contractor, they did fuck up and they did expose his tax returns. This is a settlement, so, he can definitely say, well, I love this country so much that this money is going to go for you because you were weaponized for loving me, and I love you back, here's money. This whole outcome was concocted by Todd Blanche, who was his, again, former personal lawyer or attorney or whatever. So I can see the conflict of interest there, but I can also see how this is politically, Trump can use this and say, hey, I love you guys so much, I don't do this for money. But again, I can't stress this enough, how I believe that supporting this is political suicide. And anyone who is supporting this, your days are numbered your political days are numbered, I do believe. Like, this is a toxic thing to align yourself with. And before I move on to, like, the reparations part of it, the anti-weaponization fund is not an act of Congress, and it does have an expiration date. So by December 2028, this whole thing is going to disappear. It is going to stay stalled, though, until June 1st. So, we'll see what happens there. Again, why did they do this whole anti-weaponization fund if there was already the U.S. Treasury fund? I cannot get over that. I really just can't get over that. But let's real quick listen to this interesting roundtable we're talking. But I kind of just want to highlight what Scott Jennings, who's a Republican himself, had to say about this.
I remember when most Republicans used to balk and be shocked and outraged by the idea of reparations to people who suffered slavery. But we're going to be giving money to January 6th insurrectionists. That part's okay. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Scott, is this reparations?
Look, I think there's a lot about it we don't know. I don't know who's on the committee. I don't know exactly who's going to be applying for it.
The people that Trump approves.
Well, they say anybody can apply for it, and I don't think.
Okay, I'll apply for it. You think I'll get it?
Have you ever been unfairly targeted by the Department of Justice?
I have been unfairly targeted by this administration. Yeah.
Have you been unfairly prosecuted by the Department of Justice?
Are those the people that are going to be in this?
So the answer is no, you haven't. So the question is, has anyone in the history of the United States ever been unfairly targeted by the Department of Justice? Of course they have, and there ought to be, just at a top line, a way for people to seek recourse if they have been unfairly targeted. That having been said, this all started by the fact that Donald Trump had his tax returns unfairly and illegally leaked by the IRS. That's where all this started, and he was initially seeking damages for that, which he has given up. He'll receive no money, as I understand it, and now it has morphed into this idea that there have been people that have been unfairly targeted. All of this makes me a little uncomfortable because it's a lot of money and it didn't go through the U.S. Congress. That's number one. Number two, I don't want to see a president necessarily handpicking people to get payments where he could be accused of just picking people out who are political allies. But do I want a world where if you've been unfairly targeted by the federal government and it was truly unfair and you truly had something done to you that should not have been done, do I think people should be able to seek recourse for that? Absolutely I do, because I think it probably happens
and not on a partisan basis, but it probably happens all the time. And I think people ought to be able to seek some sort of damages if they've been unfairly targeted by the department or by the federal government.
Like James Comey or just
right?
James?
I mean, I guess the question is,
Yo, Anna Navarro fucking sucks, dude. She's so annoying and condescending, and that fucking smug look on her face. Way to go, Scott Jennings, for not dealing with that. But at the end there, they said, what about other people who have been weaponized by the government? And that is a great, great point, especially foundational Black Americans and African descendants of chattel slavery have been saying, oh shit, so you do know reparation, you do understand the concept, and you do know how to do it. I will be interested to see if the anti-weaponization fund, if it goes through, and I don't see it going through, but listen, I can't even tell with what's going to happen anymore. But it does go through, and it's actually aimed at helping American citizens who were unfairly targeted by the federal government. There's an ocean of people besides January 6ers who would fall under that category. I'm thinking of students, perhaps professors that were unlawfully targeted on campuses, maybe even folks who posted a couple of unkind memes here and there about Charlie Kirk. Or I wonder if at any point this anti-weaponization commission will go out and try to seek justice for activists and advocates who were also targeted with unconstitutional military-style raids and warrantless arrests. Will that happen? I don't know. But Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says that this is a nonpartisan fund, although so far, the chatter has been around giving convicted insurrectionists money, a little bit of MAGA reparations. Anyways, my name is Art Delinsky, and I've been talking with you about the anti-weaponization fund and where it's at right now. It is indeed stalled, and we probably won't be hearing much about it until June 1st. We'll be back again soon. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, cues, views, or just want to say, how are you? Hit me up on Instagram, Art Deli Sideshow. All right, that's all I've got. Love you. Bye.